Hi, my name is Laura Tenney, and I will be discussing teacher-directed instruction in preschool. Is it effective? The goal of the research study. The Grapeseed curriculum is the focus of my research study, and more in particular, the Grapeseed writers. Moving forward, the Grapeseed writers are defined as a packet of worksheets that have the focus letters of each unit that you're in the Grapeseed writer. My big research study question. What effect will the Grapeseed Writers versus a Child-Directed Writing Center have on students' writing of the focus letters in Unit 3 of the Grapeseed curriculum? Sub-questions. What effects do the Grapeseed Writers have on students' abilities to write more accurate focus letters? What is the effect of the Grapeseed Writers on motor control? What are the students' reactions to the Grapeseed Writers as opposed to the Writing Center? Participants and context of inquiry. My research study was implemented in a Great Start Readiness Program, GSRP Preschool. We are located in Springport, Michigan, in Springport Public Schools. Springport Public Schools are a low-income rural school. In my classroom, I have 18 students. 11 are boys and 7 are girls, and I have 2 other teacher aides that work with me. My study duration was for 8 weeks. Critical variables. The Grapeseed Writers. We have never used the Grapeseed Writers, and so I was interested to see the impact that they would have on student learning. The Writing Center. Our Writing Center is a constant in our classroom. It is always open every day whenever students want to use it during center time. The human factor. Humans don't always follow the best laid plans, as you'll find out later. Influential research literature. In order to create a good research study, I needed to do some research myself. I found that Jean Piaget has the theory of constructivism, and that fueled my research. In 1929, he published his book called The Child's Conception of the World, which discussed his opinion on how students learn. He believed that students build upon learning within a social setting through exploration. He saw the young mind as a framework, a schema, and theorized that students learn through exploration and they build on their experiences to create meaning. Child-led instruction. Child-led instruction takes Piaget's theory and moves it into education. Children are placed in self-directed classrooms where they lead the curriculum and the center creation, and that is how our classroom is run. But other classrooms are run a little differently. There's teacher-led instruction. Teacher-led instruction swings kind of to the other side of the pendulum. The teacher-directed classrooms have full control in the hands of the teacher. Students use worksheets generally and have little control of the curriculum throughout the year. Child-led instruction tends to have more of a learning together mentality. For focus letters, many early elementary teachers use focus letters of the alphabet with their students. Child-led instruction uses focus letters based on interest. So a lot of times the focus letters will be the student letters that are generally in students' names, like letters E and N, and you look at those at the beginning of the year. Whereas teacher-led classrooms tend to focus on letters of a specific time period. So you would have E would be around Easter time, things like that. And writing with worksheets. What I found was using worksheets, they're not considered developmentally appropriate for preschool children because they work with more letter tracing and they focus on students' motor skills and perceptual features of writing like linear writing, etc. However, so you may wonder, well, with all that research, why would people use worksheets? Well, worksheets are popular because they're easy to distribute during class time and allow teachers to do formative assessment and while students can do the worksheets. They are also readily available for teachers as curriculum has them and kind of helps move through the curriculum as well. And it kind of takes the stress off of teacher planning. The Grapeseed curriculum. The Grapeseed curriculum was created in Japan to help English language learners. It's now being implemented from preschool through 3rd grade and has a variety of activities. There's movement activities, big book activities, vocabulary cards, poems, and things like that. And each material in each unit has to be shown to students 20 times. There are 5 units that an elementary classroom would use. And all of the action activities and the songs have to be sang without the aid of a CD. So I always apologize whenever anyone enters into my room. Interventions designed for the action plan. I created an interview to use for students before the study and after the study to talk about their feelings for the Grapeseed Writers. I used field notes and observations of students using the Grapeseed Writers and in the Writing Center. I used plain white paper for students to write letters without the aids of the Grapeseed Writer to see if it made a difference from the beginning of the study till the end. I used handwriting for students to work on their starting of the formation of a letter. Will they start the letter at the top, at the bottom, at the middle, and just to see if that improves throughout the study. And I also looked at pencil grasp. Are students going to be using a less mature pencil grasp versus a more mature pencil grasp, and will that change at the end of the study? And then the Grapeseed Writer was also implemented every week of the study. My data analysis and findings. Sub-question 1 asked, what effects did the Grapeseed Writers have on students' abilities to write more accurate focus letters? Well, if you look at figure 4.1, you will find that students were asked to write focus letters on plain paper to determine their legibility. At the beginning of our research study, 66% were able to write the focus letters legibly. Excuse me, that word always trips me up. However, after the study, the students were able to write it 97.2% of the time, which was great. I also looked at, how do they form their letters? Do they start them at the top? In figure 4.2, you'll see that students were asked to use the pointer finger to write each focus letter. And the average at the beginning of the study was 55.9% would write it correctly from the top. However, after the study was done, we noted that they were 81.9%. So that was a really nice jump in students beginning to form their letters correctly. In sub-question 2, what is the effect of the Grapeseed Writers on motor control? If you look at 4.4, you will see that students during the pretest were able to stay between the lines on an average of 55.7% of the time. So they were able to write those letters right within the worksheet lines. And they hit outside of the lines at the end of the study at 44.5% of the time. So it actually decreased their ability to write within those lines. And then if we look at the pencil grip grasp, which is figure 4.5, you'll see that A is the less developed pencil grasp and J is the most developed pencil grasp. And so students, there was an increase in students being able to have a more mature grasp. However, it wasn't a very significantly large increase. Sub-question 3. What are the students' reactions to the Grapeseed Writers as opposed to the Writing Center? In part of my interview, I asked them how they felt about the Grapeseed Writers, and I asked them to choose a smiley face, a neutral face, or a sad face to kind of help them identify that emotion. And they were as you can see in figure 4.6, 89.9% of students chose a smiley face, 5.6% chose a neutral face, and 5.6% of the students chose a sad face at the beginning of the study. At the end of the study, 61.1% chose a smiley face, 16.7% chose a neutral face, and 22.2% chose the sad face. So the students became less enamored with the Grapeseed Writers as the study went on. And most of the documented observations about the writing the worksheets weekly were kind of negative and they were unprompted. So interpretations and ethical concerns. Theme 1. The Grapeseed writers increased students' abilities to write the focus letters correctly. They did, and that was awesome. It was just what we had expected. Students were using a new medium to write letters, and they had one-on-one attention with me. The worksheets had colored lines to show students the correct strokes and allowed them to practice letters, which garnered initial excitement. They had pictures, the worksheets had pictures of the vocabulary cards and the characters in the curriculum, and that kind of helped them become comfortable and relate to the worksheets. And then in theme 2, the Grapeseed writers did not increase fine motor control. The results of that did not meet my expected outcome. I was surprised to discover that students' abilities to stay within the worksheet lines decreased from the beginning of the data collection to the end. I think that this occurs probably because students grew more comfortable with the worksheets and they didn't pay as much attention to their letter formation as time went on. I think it probably also didn't help, with the boys especially, that I was doing it during our center time, which is normally when the writing center would also be open. And students were very anxious to get back to playing, so they didn't want to sit and write their letters and take their time in doing that. Theme 3. Students became less enamored with completing the Grapeseed writers throughout the data collection period. The Grapeseed writers, as they are now, are not developmentally appropriate for a typical preschool student to complete. And because they tend to focus on, more than just the letter writing, they're working on those perceptual features, etc. Theme 4, the human factor. Part of the research study was also looking at how our students did with the writing center as well. However, there just wasn't a lot of comparative data. The students didn't use the writing center as I expected, so I just didn't feel like it was prudent to collect data on the writing center, and so I just focused more on the Grapeseed writers instead. So it goes to show you that your action plans don't always follow your best laid plan. And there also were no ethical concerns within my research study. The action plan. I want to present my findings to our kindergarten team, as they are also part of our Grapeseed pilot, and they will use the writers as well. Janice Sanford, she is our principal at Springport. She's also in charge of implementing our pilot, so I thought the information would be interesting for her to know. I also wanted to show it to Julie Baxa, who is our Grapeseed representative. Julie and I have a really great relationship, and so I know she's interested already in learning what I have to say. She wants me to send her my thesis at the end. So maybe that will help inform instruction, because the Grapeseed writers do go from preschool up to third grade. It wouldn't make sense for a worksheet that was supposed to be geared more toward your third graders to also make to be appropriate for your preschoolers as well. So my lesson learning recommendations. I recommend that we have a shorter Grapeseed writer. By the end of it, my students were getting tired and they had a lot of observed complaining because they wanted to get back to playing, and by the end the letter X was at the end of the Grapeseed writer, and you could really tell a difference in the way the letter formation was once they got there, because I think they were just tired of writing in it. So I'd recommend a shorter Grapeseed writer. I would also recommend that the Grapeseed writer pages only focus on one letter at a time. The Grapeseed writer has all of those letters kind of compiled together all in one, which can be really confusing for a student to write an uppercase N and a lowercase n, because the strokes are so different. And so I think that by having a page that only focuses on one letter, it would allow them to have that muscle memory and to be able to keep practicing just that one letter. And I'm hoping that my Grapeseed research study will maybe guide some further directions of the Grapeseed curriculum, at least in Springport. And so it'll be interesting to see if they do anything with my data, or even if it causes them to pause to see why their worksheet, which works for the third graders, might not be appropriate for the preschool. See if they might change it up a little bit. But if not, that's okay. It was really interesting for me to learn as I move forward in my teaching and in the pilot. So it was a really neat opportunity for me to learn more about a critical part of our study. Thank you.